Okay, I think we've got everyone in, so let's get started. Welcome to our webinar on navigating the transition to digital ATA Carnets. My name is Leanna, with me is Alfie. Uh, we're doing this in collaboration with the Thames Valley Chamber and Cambridgeshire Chamber and UK NATCO. And we're going to help hopefully explain and answer your questions as to how to use a digital carnet, what they're for, and what's going to happen in the future. So, digital carnets will go live from the 1st of June. So, from now until the end of May, we have opportunity to test. We're going to show you how the whole thing works and hopefully get you ready to go. We've got a couple of videos for demonstration. We've got checklists to go through, and if you can put your questions in the Q&A box, we'll try and get to some at the end. If not, we'll email you and help you out. So, what's changing and when? A brief timeline of digital carnets. So at the moment, we've got the paper carnets, which have been going for many, many years, changed ever so slightly over the years, but still basically the same. What's going to change is how it's presented and shared with your drivers, with customs, with foreign customs, and everything else. So it is still for the same purpose. You're still going to need it for leaving the UK, going into your foreign countries, coming out, and then coming back home again. You'll need the same. Sorry, Alfie, go back one. Thanks. You need that. It's the same need for the correct declarations at each border. So you're going to be still needing to get it stamped or scanned now at each border. The scan would equal the stamp on your counterfoil. So it's really important to get it all done. There is a mobile app and a desktop which can work parallel, or you can use one or the other. They will, in time, replace the paper vouchers completely. So we've been preparing since 2024, and there's been a lot of work in the background that's been done by UK NATCO. They've been working closely with all the customs borders, all the countries, carnet countries, to get things ready, training and all the rest of it. As I say, we're still in test mode until the end of May. And then in June, the first block of countries goes live, which at the moment is UK, EU, Norway, and Switzerland. So if you're going to any of those countries, we can do the testing now. We can help you get set up and everything. So yeah, we can do that now. And then in 2028, we expect to be fully transitioned into the digital world, and the paper carnet will no longer be used. So in our current phase, we have the paper carnet being the legal valid form of the carnet. We still need to get that stamped as you always have done. If you're testing the digital carnet, that's great, but you still must have the paper carnet validated and stamped and everything else. That is your valid Carnet. The digital one currently is just a test. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong, it's just going to help. Everything is going to help us and UK Natico sort of progress and iron out all the kinks so that we can get it all smooth and working when it goes live. So you will get the paper carnet endorsed first, and then you will get the digital carnet stamped. So which format will you get? This depends on where you're going. So if you're going to a country which is not on the digital list, for example, USA, we will issue paper only carnet and everything will be as it always was. If you've got a mixed itinerary, such as USA and Switzerland, we can issue both. You can use the paper carnet for the paper countries, for the digital carnet for the digital countries. And then if you're going to like Europe, you can have a digital only. And that will just be working with the desktop or the mobile app, which we will show you later. And customs will scan the relevant QR codes and there'll be no paper. So for paper only carnet, the flow is as it always was. We will issue the carnet and you will get the green front cover validated and the yellow exportation voucher, and then you'll go off to your country, for example, America. You'll have your white stamped in and out, and then you will come back with your yellow re-importation voucher, and that will get closed off. Digital only is if you're going to, say, France, we will issue the electronic digital carnet. There is a validation QR code, which is like your green cover, and the yellow exportation QR code. And then you can go ahead into France with your white QR code, come back out, operate transits if necessary, and then come back in your re-importation voucher QR code. For mixed destinations, we will issue both, and we will have the paper and the digital carnet. You will get both of them validated on the green and the yellow exportation. Then you will go into your paper country. We are using Turkey as an example. You'll get the paper carnet stamped here because they are not currently signed up for the digital scheme. The digital country, which we're using, Switzerland, will then be operated on with your digital carnet. And the re-importation will be done on both. So you must keep them together.
Thank you, Leona. Hi, everyone. Thank you again for joining. My name's Alfie Kelly. From these slides onwards, we'll be demoing how the new apps work with a high-level overview, and then we're going into a few more detailed videos of the workflow itself. So think of this as the digital version of what you already do with paper. And then we'll go into the apps and I'll showcase, as mentioned, the workflow step by step of the demos. So starting off with, there are four new terms that you should get familiar with. Travel is what the first one being travel. This is basically your customs declaration, like completing the voucher you currently do. a QR code that I'm sure a lot of you are already familiar with. It's used in a lot of other industries. So this is what gets scanned to access and process the declaration itself. And then we have the activation or the validation, which is the first step in validating the carnet. So it's basically like opening up the carnet. And then we have a pre-declaration, which is details that are sent to customs in advance. So mainly for a location where scanning isn't practical of the QR code, or customs aren't always present. So it's sort of pre-lodging your carnet with customs at the border. So they're the four new terms that you may not already be familiar with. Stepping into the complete overview, high-level overview. So this is the end-to-end flow. You still apply through your chamber as normal through your issuing platforms. So once approved, you receive a Carnet and PIN. You then register the app or desktop and download the Carnet into the mobile app or the desktop app, depending on which device you prefer to use. And we'll go into details a little bit later about the difference between the two apps. When you've downloaded the Carnet into the app or into the desktop, you create a travel, which is, again, as previously mentioned, is like completing your vouchers. And once the travels have been completed, you share this with your driver. The driver presents the QR code for each voucher to customs. The key difference in the presentation sharing the digital gives you a bit more visibility and easier handovers. So you get real-time updates as the driver progresses through the borders. So broadly, it's the same as paper is currently. Again, as Leanna mentioned, different ways of presenting the carnet. So the application process. So this part, as mentioned, should already feel familiar to you. You apply as normal for your issuing system. So that would be eCerts, eCarnet. The chamber reviews and issues the carnet. After they've approved it, you will receive a carnet ID and PIN, as you can see on the screenshots there. So you have a notification system, and it will say digital carnet with the carnet number. When you open up that link, you'll see it will mention the carnet ID and PIN, and also a QR code if you wish to scan it. And we'll step into why the carnet ID and PIN are important. So once you have the Carnet ID and PIN, you've done your application process. It's ideal for you to download the mobile app. This is practically more for drivers, or you can log into the desktop app via the URL we'll share later with you guys. So again, this will be familiar with you guys on how to download apps from the App Store. Whether you're on iOS or Google, it's on both app stores. And as you can see in the bottom left is the Carnet app that you're looking for to download. Once you've downloaded it, you'll just need to register your details and you'll have access immediately. So what happens at the border? So at most locations, the process is quite simple. You have contact with an officer and they will scan the QR code the driver presents to them. And as mentioned, where scanning isn't practical or where customs aren't permanently present, the process may rely on the pre-arrival notification declaration. So customs can process without scanning the QR code. So here we can see they scan the QR code, and then they'll process it through to the next checkpoint, the border point. And then pre-arrival is more for, again, as mentioned, out of office. There's no one at customs. If no one's present, they can use I believe it's the red phone in the customs terminal, and the back office can push through a pre-arrival if they do get stuck. So who does what in the app? So the applicant who applies for the carnet, they have the ability to create and edit the carnet. They also get issued the Carnet and PIN from the issuing system, as previously mentioned. So here they can do the A to Z of everything within the Carnet. They can pass on the Carnet ID and PIN to a freight forwarder and agent if they're dealing with it on their behalf. So depending on what permissions you give your freight forwarder or agent, they can also either create the Carnet, make edits to it, or depending on what other permissions you give them, they may be only able to view the Carnet. As for the driver, they cannot edit and they cannot create a Carnet under your account. Practically, they're just there to show the QR code to customs. And again, as mentioned at the bottom, depending on the rights you give your freight forwarder or agent, they can either create, edit, and also have view-only permissions. So tools you'll use. So we'll go over the tools you'll use. So the first of the three tools is the issuing system. Again, you'll be familiar with this. And the second tool is the desktop app. And then the third tool is the mobile app. So the first is your issuing system. Again, as mentioned, your eSearch, your eCarnets is where you'll apply for your Carnet and receive the Carnet ID and PIN. Then you have the desktop app. It's mainly for back office. Think of it as like the control center to download Carnets, prepare travels, and share QR codes and monitor activity. And then the mobile app is more like the in the field device where the driver will typically use it and show the QR code to customs. So now we're just going to go through some videos of the live demonstration on the desktop. It's easier to show all the capabilities, what you can do in it, and how to navigate the desktop version. As mentioned, this is mainly for freight forwarding agents who are managing multiple Carnets at once. So I'm going to play the video and let it play out.
It was just a glitch in the system, Alfie. We can see everything is right. You can continue it. It was just for a few seconds. Now it's everything all right. Everything is all right.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah.
I think it happened to everybody. It just blocked for about 5 seconds or so. So it's not a problem with the internet. It's all right.
Is everyone able to see that video okay?
Just start the video again. Just start it from the beginning and it should be right.
So as we can see here, this is where the Carnet and PIN to get the Carnet that you to retrieve from the issuing system onto your desktop. And as you can see, I have all the details there from your application. Perfect. So again, what you can do on a desktop app, you can also do on the mobile version as well. They're both synced. So if you download a Carnet into your desktop app, it will also appear in your mobile app if you have both. So here are the steps for downloading it into the mobile app itself. So again, you simply click Carnet, hit the plus sign, then there's a little QR icon. and then you just input your Carnet ID and PIN, and it will download it straight into your mobile app. So once you have the Carnet downloaded, you can set up your contacts and who you want to share the Carnet with or share the vouchers with, i.e. drivers or freight forwarders. So again, we've got another demo video on how to add your contacts. You may wish to do this before you actually start downloading your Carnets into your app. So again, you have two options. You can either add a company as a contact or a private individual. And that covers adding the contacts. In the mobile app, there's no need to add contacts because it will reference all the contacts that are already on your mobile, whether that's through WhatsApp, emails, and so on. And then comes pretty much the heart of the digital process. A travel, as mentioned, is your declaration, like completing the voucher. So again, you'll open up the Carnet you've downloaded into your app, select travel, then prepare to travel, and complete the key fields. So this will be from and to countries, mode of transport, and which items are traveling. And again, we'll play the video to show you how this is done. So here you can see that adding the items in. And that will create the first leg. So that's the exportation going out of the UK. And now we're going to create the return leg back into the UK. On the return leg, you can also see that you can select the items that are not being re-exported. And there we have it. So that's a travel. Again, exactly the same in the mobile app, except for because it's a smaller device, there's a few more pages that you've got to go through. So again, you get into Carnet, select the Carnet you've downloaded, hit the travel icon at the bottom, and again, prepare Carnet. When you hit prepare Carnet, it will take you into this screen. And again, you've got all the same options you've got on the desktop. So to add all your items, create your departure and destinations. And also don't forget to also create the return leg as well. Because you've got to do that out and going out of the UK and back into the UK. So we've got all that set up. We've got your travels created. So now we need to share the QR codes with the drivers so they can present them to customs at the border. So two important points here. The recipients are typically few only. As previously mentioned, they can only present and not edit the Carnet. And always double check you're sharing the correct transactions with the driver, because it's pretty easy to get the wrong transactions mixed up with either the wrong driver. again, we got a video on this on how to share on the desktop version. So you go to your travel, you click the QR code on the transaction. You see the different transactions there: validation, exportation, and importation. If you want to share all of them in one go, check them all and select the contact you want to share them with, and that will be sent through to their device on the mobile app, or they'll receive an email. And again, the phone version, you've got the share icon. Again, when you go to share the transactions, QR codes, you can share it through email, WhatsApp, text. It's also advisable, even though we're moving away from paper, to maybe have a paper backup during the testing phase, in case there's a loss of signal, the driver's phone breaks, just so they can still get through customs. As mentioned, the QR codes can be pushed through from the back office to customs if there's no other options available when the driver gets completely stranded and stuck at the border. And also to mention, you can split consignments as well. So Carnet users must create multiple travels in case of split consignments. Travel references should also be mentioned. So clearly state the travel reference. So when you go back in, you know exactly what's happening with what number of items that are traveling to and from where. And this is the typical flow of QR codes that are to be presented at customs to allow them to access the declaration. So again, so the first step is the validation and activation code you see. So again, this is to open up the Carnet. After that, you present the relevant QR code for each step: export, imports, re-export, re-import, and any transit QR codes where applicable. On the mobile app, the driver can move between QR codes by swiping left. So it's important for the driver to know which QR code to show at which point. And they are all color coded as well, the backgrounds of the QR codes, similar to paper version. I think it's a like for like. And then briefly, as we've mentioned the pre-declaration and pre-notice. This is mainly used where scanning, again, isn't practical or the location isn't always staffed. So it's not a default step you have to do each and every time. It's best to check. Only use this when instructed by a port. So key notes here. So the pre-arrival notice is to tell customs when you'll be sending the QR code, the digital version of the Carnet. A pre-declaration is you send the full transaction details and goods list in advance, so there's no barriers stopping you from crossing the border, because there won't be anyone there to scan the QR code, so they'll have all that information in advance. And at the moment, not all customs offices support the pre-arrival and declaration, so it's key to check with the ports that you're traveling to. And this is a video on how to do a pre-declaration, sorry. So we just select port. Mode of transport, and whether it's a pre-arrival notice or a pre-arrival declaration. And it will explain clearly what the difference between the two are. And as mentioned, it will allow customs to remotely access your Carnet where scanning isn't practical. And a few more notes here. So again, pre-declarations are used in countries that require pre-notification. Activating the pre-declaration allows customs to process without scanning a QR code. At the moment, this can only be used in certain ports. We're waiting for a list of the ports it can be used at, and we'll provide the list of ports at a later date once we receive them. And again, the activated pre-declaration can also be used when the driver is at the port, is either missing a declaration, a QR code, or has the incorrect declaration, or their phone device has broken and there's no way of them actually showing a QR code to pass customs. So again, the back office can directly push the carnet to the customs location for them to open it remotely. Back over to you, Leanna.
Lovely. Thanks very much, Alfie. So let's just wrap up what we've learned. So the QR codes are used as in place of the vouchers, of the paper vouchers. You will get the green front cover, the yellow export and re-import, and the white what are they? Imports and re-exports, and transits. I've had a few questions in the background, which I will go through in a minute. For now, let's discuss your homework. Have a go at downloading the app or using the desktop sites. You can do what you want with it at the moment. It's all in test mode, so try and break it as best as you can. We have broken it many times. Everything is useful. All feedback is useful at this point. Pick a trip, pick a low risk trip, or if you've got a driver that you know quite well, and you trust them to sort of operate the digital side for you. Do the normal paper carnet, obviously that's the most important thing, but see what steps you can get to with the digital side. Decide your roles early within your company. Who is going to create the travels? Who is going to present? Who is going to share it to the drivers? Who's doing what? Set up your contacts as well within the desktop, because that will be much easier when you get to the point of creating your travels. And then contact your issuing chamber. We will help you to set up the testing. We will keep you updated of any new destinations, any new processes, any developments. We will fully support you when you first decide to go ahead. If or when you decide to go ahead, please let us know, and we can email the relevant border force and get them prepared for you for your arrival. So here's some support and resources. This will all be emailed to you, so you can click on these links. The UK NATCO leaflets are very useful. You can share them with your drivers as and when you need to. Please do email us with any queries, and we will get back to you. And yeah, I think that's about it. Do we move on to the questions now, Alfie?
Yeah, so we had some questions that were pre-submitted to us prior to the webinar, so we'll go over a few of those. and then we'll tackle maybe some of the live questions that are coming through as well. So we had a question on how multiple clients use this without seeing each other's carnets. So in the Carnet app, users log in with their own credentials and only see the carnets that have been issued or assigned to their organisation. So nothing gets shared unless the applicant is sharing the Carnet ID and PIN. So again, you have your own sort of login credentials there. So next, we've got a question on how quickly can an ATA Carnet be processed and used. So it can be as fast as the same day if everything is ready, i.e. Goods list finished, security and guarantee approved, fees paid, and the applicant can complete the digital setup. It's probably faster because you don't have to, the carnet won't get posted to you, and or the digital carnet won't get posted to you. And so you have access to that straight away once it's approved. And then we also had a question come through about, can I use a carnet if my route includes a non-digital country? So as mentioned by Liana at the start, yes, during the transition phase, you still use the paper carnet where required. If your trip includes countries or ports that aren't digitally ready, we will advise whether you should use a paper carnet for the whole trip or whether it will be a mixed approach depending on the route. So i.e. you have the paper carnet and the digital version as well along the way. And it's important to note as well, if you start with a paper carnet, you've got to finish on a paper carnet as well. So you can't have two of the same carnets, one in a digital form and one in a paper form. So again, if you open up a paper carnet in, say, May 2027, and then 2028 comes along and it's fully digital, you've still got to end on a paper carnet. Next question: How do you handle part shipments so not all items travel? So again, you can record the movements for only the items that are actually moving. So you only select the required items on the travel screen that we briefly touched on.
That is, I'll just add to that, Alfie. That is currently done on the paper carnet by customs. So they will physically write on the counterfoils which items are going, and then like with a bit of luck, those items all come back again. So it's the same kind of method there, but you will be doing that. You will be declaring that when you create the travels. Customs will obviously check it, but that'll be on you.
Perfect. Thank you, Leanna, for adding that. So the last question was, what happens if the driver's phone device breaks and they can't show the QR code to the customs officer? So again, just to reiterate, they can go to the customs red channel and the back office or the forwarder, as the back office can access the carnet remotely and coordinate with customs to push through the carnet. But again, during the transition phase, it's probably a wise idea to either take a backup device or print out the QR codes during this phase. So that's all the pre-submitted questions that we got. Liana, did you want to go through some of the live questions that are coming in?
Yeah, got some really good questions come through. So if a driver presents the incorrect QR code at the border, will this make it invalid, or will they be asked for the correct one? It's not really possible to show the wrong QR code because of how the app is set up. So when you have the green validated, the yellow export would also be validated. So that's those two out of the way. And then you've got your white QR code on that travel. So your first travel, you've got 3 QR codes. So when you get, say you're going to France, you get into France, you've only got one option to show them. And then when you create your return travel, you're going to have your white re-export to show, and then your yellow re-import. I forget what they're called. So it's going to be difficult to get the wrong one, but they can be it can be corrected. That customs can, if they did scan the wrong one, they can reverse it. So don't worry, it's all been thought of, and it would be a good test, I think, for customs if that was to happen. So we really want to think of all the things that could go wrong and get them all out of the way now, so that when it goes live, everything will run smoothly. Okay, how does this work for freight forwarders with cargo arriving, departing from an airport? What about sending docs to Salford? Okay. From an airport, it works exactly the same. So if you're going from Heathrow, you would just go through to down the red channel, go to the border where you would get your paper carnet stamped, and just get your digital bit scanned instead, or as well as. Sending documents to Salford, I presume you mean for replacements and substitutes and things like that. That would all be done electronically. That is still being formally tested with them in the background. So yeah, it will be all done electronically. It will go to Salford and then back to you, and then you will go on with your substitute or your replacements. But it doesn't have that capability just yet. Next question. Will drivers still have to report to Sevington IBF if travelling from by road? I'm told that Sevington accepts the pre-declarations, so you could probably just miss that part out, but you would have to check with Sevington if they wanted to inspect the goods or something like that. I think for now I would still go there, just to get your own sort of process smoothed out in your companies. Okay, Lauren. We apply for a lot of carnets on behalf of our clients. Good. Would we then see all of the carnets on our dashboard? We would then see share. So for any carnet that you want to use digitally, you need to physically add it to your dashboard. So you can either do that by putting in the ID and PIN number from the issuing system, or it will issue a QR code, and you can just, if you're using the app, you can just scan the QR code and it will download automatically. And then from then you would decide how to share. So if you're going to give your driver complete control, or are they going to be read only, or what, you decide, and give them the relevant access. It helps if the drivers have the app, because then they can control the QR codes on the app, and it's all done on one system. But you are able to print off the QR codes, or even push it through from the back, as Alfie mentioned earlier, and the drivers may not need anything. So, will the chamber have any information to add to the Carnet, or are we essentially creating ourselves on the app? So you create the Carnet as you do now on the issuing system. If you're using eCert, SGS, or eCarnet, that remains unchanged. We have the digital links all set up. So when you get an approval now, if you go into the application, you will be able to see your ID and PIN. So that's then what you will use to go forward with your digital. Okay. Clients, drivers complete the vouchers as they go throughout the trip. We are unaware when this is being done. Will we have to start completing all vouchers? Oh, okay, so if you give the driver permission, they can just do that on the app for you. It depends on your level of trust with that particular driver. It's going to be easier for sure if you give them access, and then they can just do it as they go along, because if they're going through at like 3 in the morning, you're not going to be wanting to wake up and do it for them. So and then they will know if, for example, if their van broke down and they needed a new one, they would be able to put the new truck reg into the travel, and yeah, they can just go ahead and do that themselves. Right, one more. With goods arriving, departing Heathrow, this is cargo, not passenger, so there is no red channel. Salford is where HMRC would issue the clearance of the customs entry. Okay, we've got 2 questions. So with goods arriving, departing Heathrow, if it's cargo or not, you would just go to wherever you go now. If it's like, I believe you go before you check in your cargo. I'm not too sure, but anyway, it'll be the same process as you're going through now. So you just do whatever you're doing now, just keep on doing it. And the customs, when you get there, they will know what they're doing, hopefully. And Salford is where HMRC would issue the clearance of the customs entry. So how would this work? I don't know. I would need to check on that. That's a really good question. So if I'll follow up with you on that, Julie, and I'll find out. Thank you. All right. Adding additional third country to ATA Carnet. Will Carnet charge for the digital Carnet be calculated the same way as the paper one? Yes. Currently, the charges will be the same. It's all due to the security for the countries, that doesn't change. Currently, you are not able to add a country to a digital Carnet, but it is being worked on. So at this moment in time, when you when you are issuing Carnet, when you're processing the Carnet yourself, Make sure you've got all of the countries on there. We can add vouchers or trips. We can add security time, but at the moment we can't add countries. Just go check through. Oh, I had a question earlier about authorization letters to cover all engineers that may use the Carnet, and will it still be required? Yes, you do still need to present that authorization, but there is a place in the app where you can upload authorization letters and things like that. So still keeping away from carrying that bit of paper, but you do still need to authorize people. I think I have covered most of the questions. As I say, with Julie, I will follow up with you on your question, but yeah, I think we are done. If anyone does have any other questions, they can just contact us with them. We will be sending out all the slides for you to peruse at your leisure. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for attending. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.